Hi everybody, it's Thursday at Litsoc, and welcome if you've not seen us before, or welcome if you have seen us before. Our numbers of viewers are going up and up, so thank you everybody for tuning in. This week it's blazing heat outside, so again we're in here. But I'm looking at a fabulous notice board courtesy of Mrs. Rio. Deliciously good summer read. Sarah Desson.
Chloe
That
Coles.
summer. Life's a Beach. Golden Boys. Camp. She gets the girl frankly in love. So there's a theme here. Romance in the sun. And our author spotlight is Jessie Burton, who I've just read the latest one. Have you read it, Miss Ria?
No, I haven't yet.
Yeah, she's a very interesting person who clearly loves Amsterdam and Holland. Have you read any of hers, Marianne?
No, I haven't.
Well worth checking out.
She's on the Carnegie shortlist too.
She is. The miniaturist, has that got a rainbow on its side? Yeah. Anyway, so what we're doing this week is, I'm afraid, might not be terribly interesting for a lot of it, but anyway, we're going to be doing our own creative writing. So I'm going to hand over to Mr. Humphreys because he's going to tell us what the theme and how we're going to go about this.
Okay, so it's Everybody Writes Week next week, but we haven't got Litsoc next week, so we're going to do it this week. And, you know, it's the idea that we're all writers. Yes, everyone's a writer, everyone's a creative writer.
Uh-huh.
And we were talking before you arrived, actually, recently, about 500 words and how you've all heard of it. Did any of you actually enter it?
You have?
Yes. Spoilers.
When?
I remember I entered them like every year, did it, but I never won anything.
Okay. Yeah, but you entered it, and can you remember what your story was about?
Not really, because I wrote a lot.
Okay, fair enough.
That's a good thing.
Marianne,
I entered in 2018 for the Heroes theme.
Oh, yeah.
and how'd you get on?
Regional winner.
Regional winner!
Brilliant.
Hey. Show the camera.
I have no idea if that's a shot.
I'm sure it is.
And what was your story called?
I can't actually remember what it was called because I was like 10 when I wrote it, but it was about. It was about my hero, but it wasn't actually my hero. It was a completely made-up hero. It was about a male ballerina and kind of defining the odds of gender norms and what society expects of you, but in a 10-year-old's eyes. Wow.
There you go. Excellent. Sounds
Great.
Yeah.
Sounds really interesting. The one I love to show Year 11 as a wonderful example, a very simple story, is the £5 note. You heard this one? Have you seen this one?
I think I have. I think I've read it.
It's in very short sentences, very short paragraphs, and it's about how a £5 note goes between different sorts of people. So it's about circulation of money as well. It's got this lovely ending where it suddenly realises what it's all for. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's pretty obvious that the criteria is it's got to be 500 words.
Yeah.
Sometimes, so there's other short story challenges as well. We found this one, didn't we?
Oh yes, we did.
Mr. Sayer's got the print copy, annoyingly, but I had the foresight to take a picture.
Good.
This is a winning short story from the School Library Association competition, which celebrated its 85th anniversary last year, and wrote a short story around the theme of community, which of course is one of our values here, isn't it?
Indeed.
At school.
We are a community.
We are a
Litsoc within
community.
the bigger
this is
community
the
of
Litsoc,
Surbiton High School.
Yes. And basically it's called A Crime for Your Community by Florence Byrne from the Jersey College of Girls, about her doing community service.
In fact,
Basically. There you go.
I think one of our ex-members of staff went to the Jersey College for
really?
girls, Miss Blackwell. Yeah.
That's before my time.
No, before your time,
That
yeah.
name doesn't sound
Yeah.
familiar. So yeah, I'm just glancing at it. It looks like a pretty hard-hitting story. So it was quite powerful stuff in there, doing community service and why you did it and the people.
Yeah,
and
do
the
you know what
lessons
community
learn.
service is, girls?
Yeah.
What is that?
Service for your community.
No.
Because it's like you either do litter picking or you do.
Those are examples of it, yeah. But
Yeah.
what is it?
What is
it? How do you define it?
Annabelle? Do you know what it
Do
is?
it to help your community.
Yes,
you
but
have to do
there's
it
another.
No.
Yeah, you do.
Yes, but that's
You
not
do.
community service.
And we do it here,
And
don't we?
then-
Do it as part of outreach.
Yes.
So Soul in the Community
Yes.
on
Activity day.
the
is on Friday.
activity day.
You can also do it.
But it's also, if you've done something wrong, you've been sent to court, and it's not you're not a dangerous member of the community and you've not done something before, they will send you out to community service. So you'll litter pick on a side of a road, or you'll paint an old person's house, or help with refurbishing their windows or something like that. So it's got two meanings.
Like in holes.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a great example.
Yeah, great example.
Except you don't have to sit out in like the
except
No,
they-
not
except
usually. I
less.
don't think.
No.
Usually more like volunteering.
Yeah, it's a little less of a violation
A
of
little
human
less
rights.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do then, challenge is to do a bit of creative writing. We got a couple of things to help, but you don't have to use them. You can just come up with your own idea off the top of your head. Did you want to talk a bit about what makes a good short story before we get started? Or
Anybody? Yeah, let's have your thoughts about what makes a good short story, everybody.
what sort of things do you need to include?
Well, like you got to want the reader to have more. So
You want to
can't-
leave them wanting more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you can't write like a whole novel squished up
No.
without any of the detail. It's literally just like, I did this, then I did this, then it's the next day, then the. But you gotta like, what I like doing with short stories is like doing an opening of a book and then like, but kind of
Okay.
finishing it off.
All right then. All right. Okay. I'll allow you sort of that.
I don't really
yeah.
like short stories, reading them.
They're not everybody's cup of tea,
No.
I agree, but perhaps it's because we haven't exposed you to the best, maybe.
Because they're just too short.
Yeah, right then.
I get it. I get what you're saying. You want to immerse yourself in a novel, and there's more room for the writer to make the characters come to life. But yeah, and short stories are in some ways more difficult to write because you have to get more of that in. You've got less space to do
There
all these
is
things.
a fabulous
so-
short story written, and it says, for sale, a pair of baby's shoes.
Oh yeah.
Never worn.
Yeah, I saw that one. I like that one because it's really short, but it's got meaning.
There you go.
But short stories that are 500 words, and say like a short story is exactly 500 words, it kind of, you give enough detail, but you don't give enough detail.
No, not for
But
you, maybe,
If
but
it's really short, then you don't give enough detail, which is enough detail. If that makes sense.
No, that is sorry. No, that isn't. Okay, okay.
all right.
All right. Let's.
Annabelle, in her inimitable way, has summed it up and just given us a little bit. Okay.
Marianne,
Yeah,
as
that's
as a
great.
regional
It's
winner,
good.
what do you think we should include in a short story?
Well, the only short stories apart from my one that I've really encountered were when we did Gothic in Year 9, and that was The Telltale Heart.
Yeah, good
and
one.
Yeah.
Royal Jelly and
Roald Dahl.
The landlady.
the other one, the
Which you're
landlady.
doing at the moment.
So I've been a bit traumatized by those, but but no, they're really good. But what I just do what you would do with normal creative writing, like
Okay, and what's that?
Include lots of description. Make sure to catch the reader's attention by having like a distinct plot line. I don't know, just make it interesting.
Yeah, and that means you need to have a hook.
You need to have a hook.
Yes,
Yeah.
to get
A line in the
a
centre.
good opening, punchy opening sentence to lure them in. Yeah. You can't just say, "Oh yes, it's a nice sunny day outside." Who cares? You know, you do something that's going to make them want to read on.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly.
Definitely.
Mrs. Rio, what do you think?
I think you need to probably, for me, I like ones with a really strong character and not too many characters because then
Yeah.
it gets, you've got such a short space of time.
Yeah.
You need to really get to know one
Yeah.
person. Those are the ones I personally like the most. But yeah, just for me, that's always sometimes when you try and introduce too many people. You're like, if I had only got 30 pages, you're like, who's that and who's that?
And that following your Marion said about description. Yes, good description, not too much, because you've only got so many
Yes.
words, so you've got to be economical with your description. But yes, use your tricks, your similes, your metaphors, and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
Just maybe a bit
Just-
less, and a bit more
absolutely.
concisely.
Don't try and be
Don't
Oscar Wilde
overpaint.
with it.
Yeah.
Don't.
Yeah.
What you say about Oscar Wilde?
Succinct.
So I think anyone else?
Miss Dillon, what do you think?
Similar to what Mrs. already said, it to be accessible to all. I think sometimes you can over-describe too many characters in it. For me especially, I know I'm an English teacher, but for me to get into a book, it requires a lot of concentration. So when it is accessible, when it's somewhat simple, that's when I'm in, and that's when I'm hooked, and that's when I'm ready to commit to that short story. So I think accessibility for everyone, I think is really important.
Yeah. Know
Not-
your
Not
audience.
too many big words.
Yes,
Yeah,
as
the
George
language is
Orwell
fairly
would say.
simple. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Know your audience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
know your audience. Annabelle, what
I
else?
feel like first person would be a lot easier because you can get into the character a lot easier with less words. If it's third person, with a novel you can still get into the character, but it takes a while to like get used
Well,
to it.
it depends how good a writer it is. I mean, Mariam's talked about the landlady. The landlady is third person, and actually, but it's third person, but you can sometimes hear Billy's thoughts, and it works really well because we don't get too much information, but we do understand what Billy is like with very few words. I mean, there aren't 500; there are a few more than that, but nonetheless, it's very few
First person's
pages.
a lot easier to write from and a lot easier to read.
Yeah,
Short
Mariam.
The thing is with first person, I think it's much more difficult to write actually. For first person is very difficult to write well. That's the thing, because it can very easily fall down the well of being a bit, I don't want to say cheesy, but cringy/cheesy. Like
Sometimes it could be a bit of a rant, or it could be a bit of a diary entry or something like that. Yeah,
and it just doesn't
Yeah.
flow like you would want a short story or even a book to
Yeah.
go. So to write first person and to make it in a way that it is accessible for someone who is not that person is much harder, I think, than writing
okay.
in just third person.
I find it really hard to write in third person.
All right. Well,
Well,
let's see what you come up
it's all
with.
personal
Right.
preference,
So we're going
isn't
to
it?
get going. 'cause
Yeah, we need to get
it's
going,
time
otherwise
to
we'll never
on.
get going. Right, so as I was saying, there are prompts if you are. So some of you might be sitting thinking, well, I don't know what to write about. So we have, yes,
a
get a pen and we'll get a piece of paper each. Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fine.
you can,
Or
yeah.
however you prefer, I'm going to write it. So if anyone wants to write it, pieces of paper coming round. So we've got some first line prompts that Miss Rio has found for us. Thank you, Miss Rio. Plus some pictures Miss Rio also found for us. But like I said, you don't have to use these prompts. If you've already got an idea of what you want to write a short story about, then go for it. So
That's mostly there just if you
I think I'm going to have to
think,
rewrite the story that I wrote but have lost because it's buried in a computer. I can't start up.
Oh no.
Uh-oh.
So see
Right.
if I can do that.
I've got an idea for a story that's based on something on real life. Actually,
Oh,
you can
pen.
base it on real life because I've got my story is me based on something that I came across in real life. So, anyone want to have a look at the picture prompts?
Oh, I do.
There they are. Have a look. Share. And there's the first line prompts there. Okay.
Okay, so that's our writing over. We're now going to present a little bit of what we've done. So who'd like to go first? Mr. Humphries, you want to go first?
Yeah, if you want me to.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to read the whole of this because it's quite short.
Right.
It's called Motorcycle Commitment. Phil and Jenny sit in their gauche, bling-strewn living room in Phil's flat. A fibre-optic Christmas tree casts its fluorescent glow as Top Gear booms from the TV set. Jenny turns to Phil and takes his hand in hers. Phil scratches at the nape of his neck and reluctantly gives his attention to Jenny. Yeah? Well, she sighs, flicks her tongue across her bee-stung lips. I think given that we've been together 5 years, I think it's time we formally committed to each other. What are you saying? Phil asks. I'm saying I want to move in with you. Get married. A beat. A dog barks outside. The Top Gear theme tune kicks in. Phil looks at Jenny. I want a motorbike. The voiceover on the TV reminds them that Carols from Kings is on tomorrow. Phil sniffs as he reaches for the remote. Jenny sighs. Well, she says, I guess that's that then. Let's not split up till after Christmas. My mum likes you, and I want to see what presents you got me. The end.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. Sad, but very good. Okay.
To make a decision.
Nice bit of build up there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. And,
You wonder what's
speeding
going
that
to happen.
down. Annabelle, do you want to go next?
Mine's kind of big.
You don't have to read all of it.
Don't have to read all of it.
250.
Well,
Good job,
are you going to
but-
read some of it or
It doesn't really. Okay, I'll read the first paragraph.
read the first paragraph? Yeah.
One bottle, one sheet of music, the power to change and take over the world. There was a light breeze on the November morning I decided to take a stroll on the beach. As the cold, wet sand filled the gaps between my toes, I listened to the peaceful yet loud sound of the waves crashing. I felt free. I felt as free as I had ever been. I'm usually locked up all day in a bottle sealed shut, never being able to speak. This was my getaway. There was no one on the stretch of beach, no one for miles. Just me and my thoughts, set free to run wild. As the melody of the waves built up inside my head, I began to sing songs no one of this world will know apart from me and the desolate empty beach I come to every November.
Lovely. Yeah.
Are you the sheet of music?
What?
Or like? Cause at one
Were you
point
using the
said-
prompt there?
Yeah. Were you the sheet of
That's it,
music
in a
in the bottle? Or, okay. Sorry, I thought
No,
you. I thought you were for a bit. And I'm
No, I'm relating to the sheet of music.
Oh,
There we
okay.
go.
Right. Oh, so you're
Okay,
beginning
yeah.
to sing. Oh, it's very nice. Like that.
Yeah, I liked how you're
Yeah.
establishing the mood
Like
there.
this,
Good,
the second
good setting.
paragraph makes all of it make sense.
Great. Marianne?
Mine's a bit poemy.
That's
all right,
good.
that's
That's all
fine.
right.
That's okay.
There's no rules here.
When music rings out through you, you can feel alive. Your soul can be sent into the heavens, twirling and soaring and floating, and you are freedom itself. When you feel the life around you in the greenery that comes in spring, in arias sung by birds who sing songs of a lost age, in the spices that stoke the fire in your heart, in every sunrise and sunset you have seen and hope to see, in well-worn shoes, you can feel alive. When I held your hand, treasured your every word, watched as you looked in wonder at the birds singing songs from a lost age, I felt alive. I was freedom itself. I wish you were here to see the sunrise with me.
I like the way that you two have picked up on a similar theme, but it's different. It's lovely. Well done. Yeah, it's great. Miss Rio?
I actually need to go.
Oh,
but
right, okay, my
You're
love.
welcome to
All
read
right.
mine out if you're able to decipher my illegible handwriting.
All right. Okay.
Should we just read? Do you want to just read the first paragraph or all?
You go around yours first, and then if you.
All right. Okay. All right. Ladies, how about you?
I'm gonna be nosy. Yeah. One, yep.
I haven't like worked out any names or anything.
All right. Don't worry.
Use my name. Slipping out of reach, she lost it forever. Her eyes snapped open and she bolted upright abruptly. Sweat prickled her forehead and her hand reached up to her head as she sighed. Just a dream. The thunder roared outside and the rain pelted the windows of her room, making it possible to go back to sleep. Not that she would have been able to. What was she scared of losing? Her memory foggy and unclear like the weather outside, she racked her brains for an answer. If she were to be honest with herself, she was scared of losing a lot of things, but none of which seemed important enough for that particular dream. Unease twinging at her heart, she rolled over and closed her eyes, willing sleep to come, and it eventually did, enveloping her with a blanket of calm that she never felt in real life.
Wow.
Yeah. Nice juxtaposition there.
Yeah.
Like the mention of the thunder, which we've all heard recently. That's good.
Haven't we just?
Mine's like really, really short.
All right.
No worries.
No worries.
The line of tears and the look of horror that was etched onto my face seemed to fade, but the fear sunk right in. Trapped. Like me. I guess you could say I'm used to it. After all, my life is just another's game, being controlled by their greedy hands, whilst I'm stuck, the truth stolen from my black and bruised lips.
Ooh, intriguing.
Yeah. That's strong.
Very
Yeah.
strong.
Yeah. So, okay. What's coming next?
Yeah.
What's this leading to? See, that's the right
yeah,
sort of
that's
question.
it.
Good
Yeah.
questions to be asking.
Yeah.
Right,
Okay.
Miss Lee.
Okay. I realise that actually this is I've managed to compress it down from something much longer. I'm not quite as happy as I was with the original, but there we are. Never mind. He opened the cupboard under the stairs where all the unused and useless things were stored and had been for years. The last time this door had been opened was after the funeral, and that was what confronted him now, is the order of service and a single black leather glove. He sighed and turned on the light, putting the glove and its accompaniment on the higher shelf. So much detritus, so many memories. Time to let go. Sometime later, he carried the various boxes into the garden. The light was diffused, misty, with orange and red slivers pasted across the dark lawn. Last night had been bonfire night, so the sense of winter closing in and fireworks and the leftover fireworks shells were palpable. He'd worked late, so had missed the rockets and sparklers, the lights in the skies that heralded the cries of joy. Burning, however, was today's task, so best to get on with it. He opened the brown cardboard box and began to unpack it. Other boxes, paperwork long out of date, unused tech, stuff from another era, they would have to go to the recycling centre, another chore. Then, right at the bottom, something unexpected. A very small, pristine white box with a silver sleeve encasing it. Puzzled, he opened it carefully, pushing aside the tissue paper. Inside was a cast of a tiny handprint with a name and a date and a wristband. And he realised, all those months locked away, incarcerated, no communication, no hope, no news. She had borne him a child, a baby, and never told him. He went back inside to look at the order of service. It was not as he thought. It was not her funeral, but somebody else's.
Oh, wow. Oh.
Oh my god!
Whoa.
Plot twist!
I know. I want to hear the longer version now. Because you were saying, I'm not very happy with that. It's like, well, if there's... that was very...
So was the child dead?
emotive.
Yeah.
I know, right?
So sad.
Do you know, I'll tell you what prompted it actually. I was watching, I'd watched Spooks. I was watching Spooks, and which was this television programme I loved. And it was the last episode, and it was absolutely gut-wrenching. I mean, it was literally gut-wrenching. And then, just as it was finishing, there was this complete and utter twist right at the end. It was absolutely extraordinary. A character who had been lost, had disappeared, sort of written out, about 5, 6, 7 episodes, 7 series before, suddenly appeared. And they didn't tell you what it was going to do. It was Matthew McFadden, who's in Succession, who I love. And it was absolutely clear what he was going to do. And the next day, I think year 10 were doing a controlled assessment. The old days we did coursework that was written in class, like you do timed essays now, girls. And so I sat down and wrote a story, this story, effectively, although this is much more compressed, based on Spooks. So the character, the he, is actually Harry in Spooks. And the she, the person who bore the child, is actually Ruth.
I just realised, were you writing fanfic? And then
well, yeah,
She was,
absolutely.
really, yeah.
I was writing fanfic, but it was something that because I was setting it in a garden in a place I used to look after long time ago in St John's Wood. So I set it there, and so it's all in my head basically.
It's really good. I really like that.
Yeah, that's really good.
That was very good.
And of course, actually, I think originally it was a pair of shoes, but then I thought, oh no, that's too Raven Carverish, so I made it a handprint instead. So,
and of course, you mentioned the
they were
famous
really
pair of
different.
shoes
They were
story.
really
Yeah, they
different.
were.
Well done, everybody.
Yeah, good stuff.
So shall we hear a little bit of mystery?
Yes, I mean,
Yeah.
I said I'll do it justice, but here we go. Every day I wake up and it is there, the same letter posted through my letterbox in an old crumbling brown paper envelope with a thick red wax seal holding it together. Every day I pick it up, slide it into the bin. I try to forget about it. This morning I was making tea, sorry, your handwriting is a little, when I heard it, the familiar sound of paper rustling through the metal, and a loud clunk as the letter box slammed. As always, it made me start, no matter how many times I heard it. I slapped the tea bag into the bin I made. I made my way over to the front door. It lay there on the mat, front side down. The wax seal catching the light through the small round window next to the door. Sorry, Miss Rio, for butchering this. Your handwriting is a bit... I picked it up.
Speed.
Yeah, true. I picked it up, turning it in my fingers to see my name and address scrawled on the front in black ink. But this time, something was different. Beside the now familiar writing was a red stamp marked urgent. I stared at it. For a short while, I decided that perhaps, after all this time, today would be the day I opened the letter.
Ooh.
And that's where she left it.
Oh,
Of course you would.
intriguing, yeah.
Leave us hanging on. There it
Yeah.
is.
Clever. Well done, everybody.
Yeah, well done. Good
Did you
stuff
enjoy
there.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good one.
Yeah, a bit different. Yeah,
Absolutely.
it's good.
Absolutely.
Great. So, so it's writing next week. I mean, it's what I mean is it's the
Yeah,
the reason
everybody
we've done
writes
this
the
is
day.
everybody
Yeah,
writes.
everybody
Yeah.
writes next week.
June 23rd, isn't it? I think.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, so until we meet again.
Until we meet again, enjoy whatever you're up to.
All right.
So, bye everybody.
Bye. Bye.